Hello, everyone, and welcome to another review. And this time I'm going to be covering Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, the sequel to Rise of the Planet of the Apes. This one, of course, is directed by Matt Reeves, starring, once again, Andy Serkis as Caesar, Jason Clarke as the character of Malcolm, Gary Oldman as the character of Jarvis, and Toby Kebbell as Koba. Right off the bat, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes by far is how you do a sequel to an already good movie. You take the foundation of that first movie and you don't redo it. You build upon that foundation, and Dawn, does that to a T. The perfect sequel in my eyes. The way it parallels the characters is expert. The way the characters of Jason and Caesar are paralleled. Two leaders who overall want the best for their respective peoples. Caesar wants to have the apes maintain their home and maintain their own peace. Jason Clarke's character is Malcolm, wants to give some power to his people and have them reconnect to the world and try to get their lives back. Of course, this movie takes place 10 years after Rise. The simian flu has pretty much eradicated the majority of the world's population, and pockets of people are still alive. And of course, since the first movie took place in San Francisco, the San Francisco area is populated with very few people, but many apes. And we got the characters of Jarvis, who by Gary Oldman, who I really like. I liked Gary Oldman's performance in this movie. He didn't play his typical villain. He played a guy who has a lot of shades of gray, because yes, he does agree for Malcolm to go to the ape territory because of the dam there that has the potential to give the city some limited power. Of course, the apes run that territory, so Jarvis overall agrees, but he also says, look, if it goes wire, we're going to go in there with guns. We're going to kill them all. So I like that. I like Jarvis. So I like that leadership that Jarvis has, because he's willing to agree to something, but at the same time he's also willing to kill if necessary, which I like. Then we get to Caesar. This is Caesar now, well into his 10. This is 10 years out. He is the leader of this community of apes. He has a fully grown son named Blue Eyes. He's married to Cornelia, and they have a little ape, and they have another little son. And I like the way Caesar's handled this movie too. He's a leader, but he's also a family man. So not only does he have to look after his people, he also has to protect his family too. And he also goes through a lot of character development as well, because at first, and clearly understandable, he does not trust the humans, because there's this character of Carver who accidentally shot one of the apes by mistake out of fear. So he is on edge. He doesn't trust the humans. But Malcolm manages to convince Caesar, and they actually have the beginnings of a nice little friendship that forms between them, that comes full circle at the end of the movie, which I thought was really well handled. Jason Clarke, in my opinion, is a very underrated actor, and he gives a very underrated performance in this film. Andy Serkis as Caesar just kills it. Kills it in this movie. While he was good in Rise, this is the movie where he should have gotten nominated for an Oscar as Best Actor. Because in my view, no performance in 2014 can top what Andy Serkis did in this movie. That's just my humble opinion. Of course, we got Koba, who was perfectly set up to be a villain from the first movie. In this movie, he is a lieutenant for Caesar, pretty much Caesar's right-hand man. And right off the bat, Toby Kebbell, while he sucks as Dr. Doom in the Fantastic, he is amazing villain in this movie as Koba. I just love the little things he does. I love when he goes this armory and he just tricks these guys into thinking he's a dumb ape, and then he just grabs a gun and shoots them, mows them down. Like Koba is a maniacal son of a bitch, and I love how he like pretty much manipulates all the other apes into thinking that Caesar is more in love with the humans and he's protecting the apes. I love how he's able to manipulate everyone. I love how he's even able to manipulate Caesar's own son too. It's just great. Koba, such a dastardly villain, one of the best villains. Koba's the definition of how you do a villain. You gotta mix. He needs to have a mix of someone that right off the bat's a scumbag, but is so good at getting people to trust him. At Koba, Toby Kebbell, man, well done, well done. These special effects in this movie, while they were good in the first one, in this one they're top notch to the point where they're almost realistic. There are a number of shots where you can almost think you're actually seeing real apes, like perform as humans. It's a spectacle. This movie is a spectacle. Like its story and narrative is top notch. Its special effects are just beautiful to look at. The performances from everyone in the cast is fantastic. The character parallels, to me, is what are the strongest points of this movie. Like I said, the parallel with Caesar and Malcolm is great. But there's also some subtle parallels between, Carver, to me, between Carver, the asshole, and Koba, the other asshole. But it's not the fact that they're two assholes. It's the fact that both of them are so like they hate each other's races so much that they'll do almost anything to start a war with them in a way, just to kill them. And it may be very subtle. You might not get it right away, but I that's what I got from it, and I like it. I like it a lot. But yeah, let's move along. So like eventually, Caesar does allow Malcolm to fix the damning wire that's power to the city. Of course, Koba does not like that shit at all. So during like during like a little gathering that's happening in the ape community, I guess, Koba shoots Caesar almost pretty much for dead, and and all the apes are convinced that the humans did it, which prompted Maurice, who actually had a pretty good budding friendship with Cody Smith McPhee's character Alex, who's also Malcolm's son. Those two also were starting to develop a good little friendship too, where Alex is teaching Maurice, words and stuff like that, and that nice little scene between them. And Maurice, of course, also preventing the humans, tells him to run because Maurice knows the humans didn't do anything, but the apes, they were taught, ape not kill ape, ape not trust human. That's the credo that Caesar has implemented, or that they've come atone to in a way. So of course, the humans run for shelter and stuff like that, and Koba pretty much assumes leadership, and he's pretty much a dictator. Koba's the definition of a dictator. He pretty much leads the apes to war against the humans, and they're, for the most part, successful at taking down the humans and overpowering them as quickly as they did. So Koba, again, he's a maniacal badass. I love Koba. One of my favorite characters in this movie, aside from Malcolm and Caesar. So eventually, it's discovered that Caesar obviously is still alive, but is gravely injured. They take him to the house from the first movie. The house he had with James Franco characters. Will take him to his childhood home in a way, and of course, Kerry Russell's character Ellie, who is in a relationship with Malcolm and is almost like a stepmother to Alex's character. To Alex, is also like a nurse and a doctor, and she attends to Caesar, gets him healed up and everything. Of course, this leads to the big fight between Caesar and Koba, which has been building up for the entire movie, even to like a little scuffle they had in the dam. And now we get this full-blown fight. It's Caesar, the good guy, against Koba, the piece of shit, and they beat the crap out of each other. And of course, obviously, Caesar gets the Duke and kills Koba. Though I personally hope Koba's still alive. And I know he's not in the third movie, but I hope he comes back soon because Koba is a good character, and I think you could do so much more with him. But remains to be seen. But anyway, Caesar, beats Cobra, maintains, you know, the leadership of his of the apes, but we learn that we have an army of humans now making their way towards San Francisco, who are out to come declare to come eradicate the apes. And this is actually very, very very touching, very sad, because both Malcolm and Caesar, they had such a good friendship that developed over the course of the movie, and both of them feel a lot of remorse because they both wanted to coexist with one another. And it's pretty much just two friends telling each other, look, you have to go, we have to stay, we have to fight this war, you shouldn't be a part of it. And Malcolm would rather just have Caesar come with him, but Caesar has to protect the apes, and he has to protect his home. So I like that I like it. I like it a lot. And that last shot of Caesar just looking towards the city, knowing that war is coming. Beautiful way to end this movie. So yes, to me, this movie is a solid 10 out of 10. It is the perfect movie. It is the perfect sequel. You almost don't need to watch the first movie, because to me, it while it does work, well, it is a sequel to the first movie. It does a good job at standing on its own 2 feet that you almost don't need to watch Rise. But it's good to watch Rise to have the foundation and already have those characters already in your brain, so that because to see them be further developed in this movie, it's kind of like it's awesome to see how these guys pay such attention to detail. Love it a lot. So yes, solid 10 out of 10 all across the board. If you have not seen Dawn, please watch it because you don't know what you're missing. Anyway, my name is AJ Legend. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you again next time.